Cool. So thanks for having me. I'm here to talk about Django and OAuth. We probably all know what Django is. It's this framework that we cube coding. Probably not nearly as cute as Quirky, but and OAuth, this is like really kind of not very well documented, I would say, framework for performing login and authorizing particular data, that sort of thing. So when I looked into it a couple of years ago, I spent a lot of time on it, just reading just like reams of paper that was not really human readable. So the goal here is just make a talk for human beings that will be happy to save you guys a bunch of time, hopefully. So we'll start from the very beginning. Back in the day when things were awful, you had all these web applications in the wild, and Blogger, MySpace, all these things that you love to use, and they all had their own sets of authentication information. So if you wanted to upload your video, you got to use your password. You want to use your email, you got to sign in with an email address and password. Yada yada yada. It's awful, and they expire at different times. Sometimes you forget what they are. Sometimes there's one that you haven't changed in years, and you just don't know. And some of them aren't even security stored. Like I had this one experience where I got to click on forget password on my school website. It sent me an email with my password. So like, why do you have this? So that's just like what's going on. So visually, I'm a visual learner. What typically happens is you start using these services, you try to log in and it fails, or eventually you get in and you start making content. You're happy to check it along. Writing emails, creating a MySpace page, uploading some videos, etc. The moment you try to share anything, you're kind of screwed. It's pretty difficult. Like a lot of sites have these like really wonky mechanisms that basically like cross-site script inject yourself, so that you can embed like a YouTube video or like something like that near a blog post. And that was kind of the same problem solved over and over again. So to sum it up, the world before standardized login systems. And by the way, this is, I'm trying to be not too biased here. There are other solutions like OpenID, which are also very good. This is one solution. So the problems that were before, you had to reinvent the login system every single time. Like, I'm going to do it, YouTube had to do it, everybody had to do it. You wanted to make your own website and post any sort of content that people could customize and save and everything. You would have to make your own login system over and over, and then that person has to remember another login. And you couldn't control that data very well. So if you couldn't really say have a good system to allow them to share your other personal sites or Facebook, that sort of thing. So it's a solution, right? So OAuth really in a nutshell, the kind of the simplest way to explain it is a centralized login system. It's just you're outsourcing your login. So you're not building your own login system anymore. You're saying, just go to this other website, we'll do it for you. And at the end of the day, what you get on that experience is an access token. And the access token is proof that you've logged in. So it's proof for the website that the user is trying to use that you've logged in. And using that access token, you can identify, not only identify who the user is, but you can also kind of allow them to save data in their own little sandbox of the web. And they can safeguard it, they don't share with anybody, choose to take it. So that's the goal. So visually, it looks like this. We've got this middle layer where there's a common login provider now. So there's some third-party website that none of these toolboxes own, but they all use it. They all kind of subscribe to this. They defer to this third-party provider, login as a service. Say the user logs in once, and they're able to access all this content, which then can be shared. And when you try to do that, for instance, when you try to share a YouTube video that you have like a blog, the OAuth provider actually will ask you, will give you a little prompt, and they'll say, hey, do you want to authorize YouTube? Sorry, yeah, do you want to authorize YouTube to post this video on your Blogger account? And you have to click yes. So there's another level of sort of like human interaction before some cross-site scripting attack happens, for instance. So yeah, this guy wants to share it. Also, that's there, so he's happy. So that's kind of the good life that we're going for. So all right, so that's kind of the intro. We're going to deal with Django now. We're going to kind of look under the hood and see how this all works. We're actually today going to look at both the website and the provider perspectives of this, both Django. So there's the lingo that if you read the OAuth spec and everything online, that they'll go with is this user client provider sort of nonsense. And I call this like a three-legged OAuth. It really just means that there are 3 parties involved. So what does that mean? The user is it's you. It's simple. The client is just the website. So they really just should have said the app or the website that's trying to perform the login. And a provider is just it's a login provider. It's an outsourced notion of a third-party common centralized login. So here's how you get started with a wonderful package called Django OAuth toolkit. It's actually just a whack out of the box, as we'll see in a second. And there's a helpful library for performing cross-origin requests if you choose to perform in sort of like a fancy Ajax, sharing of videos, etc. So you did install these 2 packages, and then there's just a little bit of configuration on your Django settings file. Most of it is pretty standard. It's put them in your installed apps, so Django knows how to create the right tables. And there's a couple of settings for Django cross-origin sharing to make your life easier during development. This allow all origin you might want to change when it goes in production, so that you can just log down to the websites that you want to share information with. Okay, cool. So there's the next set, which is your urls.py file. And all you're really doing here is you say, we want to use Django OAuth, and I want to expose the set of behavior at this URL namespace. So OAuth / is where we're going to be seeing all of the OAuth login provider functionality now. So that's basically it. So you basically scaffolded a full-blown OAuth 2 provider at this point. You run manage pi, run server, syncdb, manage pi, run server, and then you've got these 3 things that we're going to go through for free out of the box. So the documentation on the website is actually pretty good, but when I ran through it, I was definitely missing a few steps that I figured it's a big thing to run through. The first thing is you have this notion of a client manager. So when you have a Django OAuth provider, that yellow column, that picture we saw, and there's all these blue boxes that you want to be able to use this service. So you can actually get control of what gets to use it. So you just say, hey, YouTube, you can use my service, and I don't want Gmail to use it. And the way you would do that is you would create this notion of a client. So in our case, making a dummy website, it's just called my website. And there's a bunch of information here that's a little intimidating. Like what is a client type, and what is authorization grant type. That's pretty focused around the specific way you want to handle security, and we're not going to go into that in this talk. The main things to focus on are these 3 headers highlighted in yellow. That's pretty standard. It's a way to identify what website you're setting up. So there's 2 pieces of information that you'll need. Really, it's the client ID, obviously, to identify your website. It's got to be unique. And then a secret. It's sort of like the password for your website, so that later on you can ask it for the secret. You can prove that it is who it said it is, as it is. The third thing is redirect URL, and that really is just a way for you to, after you log someone in, to get them back to whatever they want to do in the first place. So, go look at your videos or whatever. Any questions so far?
I assume my secret would be something that you should generate.
Yeah. This is all dummies. So typically these are the client is typically like a 32 alphanumeric string, hexadecimal string, and the secret string is something much longer. That's nonsense. Anyone has these questions, just yell them out.
This is probably, I got confused at some point.
Yeah.
So is this, what you're walking through right now, is this to allow a user to log into the website you're creating with, like, say, their Gmail credentials, or is it the reverse? Does it allow Gmail to eventually do something to allow a Gmail user to get something from your website?
More like that. So basically, what we're setting up here is a OAuth provider.
Okay.
It's a centralized service to log in any website for any user. But for that to happen, there's a level of security here. You basically have to register your website to say, I want to use the service first. So in this scenario, my website, for example, would be something like YouTube, or whatever site you're building. So cool. With these armed with these 3 pieces of information, we can now take advantage of login workflow that pretty much comes for free. So I lied. Sorry, there's actually a little bit of work. So this is now your website. This is either YouTube or whatever you're building, and you still have to make a form. You still have to go through sort of the a normal Django login form. But instead of using kind of the Django stock login middleware, user middleware, you're going to replace your login link with this guy, which points to the OAuth namespace that we had previously put in the urls.py. And there's a little magical URL here of authorize. If you supply it with the right query string parameters, in this case, it's all the stuff in white is sort of textbook. Don't have to worry about it. Just copy it as is. The yellow identifies your client. You're basically saying, I want to use this third-party service, and I want this link to log in, meet this website user. Here's my ID. So what happens when the user clicks on this website? Obviously, get redirected to the login service first of all. So the first thing you do is something happens. You notice that we don't actually end up there. We end up in the provider/OAuth/account login page. That's sort of the default Django login page on the provider side of things. So the reason that happens is because the login provider detected that there's no user session. They've never been here before. They've never logged in. So they're going to redirect to the default login page. But the next parameter for authorized happens. So your regular login workflow happens here. This is the one place, and the only place, the single place where you can implement the login procedure. You do it once in the OAuth provider that everybody shares later on. So you're presented with Django login form. You still have to write the markup for that and everything, yada, yada, yada. The user logs in with either whatever choice of login username or email address, whatever format you want to use. Once they've done that, though, here's the new step. So you actually finally end up with this authorized endpoint, and it's asking you, hey, user, thanks for logging in. You've proven that you have an account here. I should also say that you have a choice here to sign up. If they don't have an account, you can sign up. Go to the same place. So you're, but we want to prove that this website is who they say they are. We don't actually trust this guy too much because it's just kind of, all I got is this ID. Who is it? Do you want to authorize these people to kind of access your video data or whatever? Like, do you want to continue with our authentication workflow? Hit cancel, it's going to port it all together. You hit authorize, it's going to proceed within sort of the next step of the handshake. What actually happens? So the user, if everything goes well, they get directed back to the website and they're logged in. It's just magic under their hood. But something actually happens. Servers. So underneath, like now you have your website server has this randomly generated code, which you got from the response of the login provider. It's a one-time code, and it's going to use that code to say, all right, I got this from you, login provider, and I'm going to send it back to you at this endpoint, the OAuth token, which basically is saying that I am now ready for the security check. I'm ready to validate that I am who I say I am as a website. So the OAuth provider said, okay, we're good. So the way you prove it is you actually attach an HTTP header that's a 64-bit hash of your client ID and the client secret. Because remember from way back when the other site was formed where you registered client ID and client secret website. So you actually have to hash that thing down. You have to basically know that on your side. And it's a one-way hash, so send that along, and the provider gets to check it out and say, let me look at my database and let me hash the same information. Maybe based on this random code, I know who I give it to. It's this client ID, and that client ID in my database is this secret. I hash it 64-bit hash. If it matches, it's a 200 response. Cool, you're logged in. The website is authenticated, and I'm going to give you an access token. So this is sort of like the exchange of the secret key. Now, the access token is now the gateway to performing all other action on behalf of the user as if they were logged in. So it contains several pieces of information here. All access tokens expire. There's a timeout. There's a refresh token that allows you to get a field access token after the timeout. And we're not going to go into that here. This, again, has more to do with security rules. There's some choices here that you can make in terms of how long do you want this token to live. It depends on how much you trust the website. And, at any given point, if you revoke a access token, for instance, how long of the lag time do you want before the services are revoked? So, cool. So So what do you do with the, so as a website server, you have to save this access token, right? This is now your kind of one true key to prove that the user is logged in. But you don't want to have to ask them to log in over and over and over every single time you do something. So you save your access token in your database with the user ID. And you take them wherever you want them. So most of the time it's the home page, or it's a dashboard, or it's their profile pages, something like that. So that was the login workflow. So from the user's perspective, they click login. Just to summarize it, they click login, they go to some other web page, they type in their credentials, and they're taken back to the website that they were trying to access. So it's pretty straightforward. So now at this point, once the website, your website has the user's access token, you can protect their data. You can do all kinds of things with it. And we'll run through some scenarios, things you want to do. The first thing, the most simplest case is they want to generate some content. So they want to save something and say, I made this, take a blog post of the video. So in this case, they want to upload a video. So there's a button on your page that says upload video. There's a link that takes you to this URL. So when they click it, the browser is going to initiate HTTP, get a post request to the website server, and the server is going to check for an access token. So your post has to contain the access token for you to be able to upload anything. So oftentimes it's done with a query string, or you can do it with a HTTP header. So if this step fails, it will simply return 401, and it won't let you upload your server login. It might kick you back to the login prompt and say, hey, try again. You don't have an access token. So if it succeeds though, you start to upload video, and when it's done, it's going to respond back and say, hey, it's created. And anybody else trying to access that video without that particular access token isn't going to be able to see it. So now it's protected as private. So what happens if you want to share that video that you just created? Well, in this case, notice that this is a different site. So you're posting to an external website that you did not create at this point, which also happens to use the same login provider. So the trick here is when you click the video, you have to send some data along with the post request. You're sending what you want to post to the foreign website. So oftentimes for YouTube or other video sharing sites, it's a video link. It's a video, some metadata about the video, so it's titles or description. So what actually happens is your browser opens this up in a new window. And the reason it does that is the request has to check on the server side, on that server, whether or not an access token is tied from a session before this. So in other words, if you've never gone to the blog site, it's going to actually ask you to log in. This is going to find that there's no access token in the background. Take us back to the workflow that we just saw, with all this server magic. So to run through all that again. And after all that, it will. So after all that, it will allow you to actually create your content on the website under your user, under its own access token, not the same one that you saw before the site. So that's sort of isolated information. It's protected by each of the sites. And close until you're successful, and close itself. So it's sort of oftentimes invisible to the user. That's how YouTube does it. That's how Tumblr and those guys do it. So there's a few different approaches here. You can also do this through Ajax if you're tricked enough about attaching, the access token in a way that's secure. Maybe you invoke an invisible item somewhere and then just kill it immediately. You can see that. Okay. So the last scenario is, so you have this account, right? You have this user account that allows you to get into all these different websites, and you may have some preferences in that account, like your zip code or I don't know, your date of birth, something like that. And it would be a pain to set that everywhere. It would be a pain to sort of like set these, go to every website and click a setting to save that on that site. So you might want to save it with the login provider. So in this case, with Django OAuth Toolkit, there's a convenient class-based view that allows you to protect, to require an access token in your stereo views, so that you can access those views. they're under a login layer. So, for example, here, this is a pretty standard class-based view with the get method, so it responds to HTTP get. When a user tries to access it, if they're not logged in, they're required to log in first. And if they are, it will check to make sure that an access token is applied with the request before they allow you to retrieve your purposes. You can imagine there's any posts or delete or update methods will be protected the same way. So that just comes out of the box. There's a few lines. And what actually happens in the background is you make this request with no access tokens. The provider responds with, sorry, you can't do it. Give it an access token. Actually. So that's it. That's OAuth in a nutshell. Any questions?
How does the source view know which access provider you actually have your account?
Oh, so I should clarify. There's in this scenario, you are accessing the provider directly. So, on your website, you might have a page where when the user logs in their purposes, right? So let's just say their date of birth, and when the user changes their date of birth and they hit the save button, it's the responsibility of the website to look up in its internal database what is this user's access token, and if it finds it, it should attach it with the request over to the OAuth provider and say, here it is. So here it is. Here's the access token. And when the provider is able to allocate the access token on their side, their server side, only then can they actually perform the request. If it was missing, so another scenario is, I'm a user on your website and I want to change my date of birth, but my access token is either expired or it's been revoked, or maybe I left the browser window open for a long time and just came back to it like 3 weeks later, and I hit save. And at this point in time, the website is going to attempt to find the access token in the database. It's expired, and the request will be invalid. The provider on the other side is going to do the check and invalidate and respond to failure. Cool. So, let's see here. Any other questions?
In his case, where he's going to break up all his .NET and I guess C#
Yes.
into multiple Django,
Yeah.
i.e., let's just call it microservices, each one of those would have authentication at each level of the services?
So the idea is that you have one microservice, that's your login service. And then all of your, everywhere where you log in,
Right.
it's going to be a consumer of that microservice.
Okay.
So you can have your access to it as either a get parameter or as a HTTP header
Let's see. That's right. Yeah. From the service, from your, from all the consumers of the microservice. So just some examples. Maybe you have I don't know, like crazy like stock trading page, and that uses your. So this particular stock trading app, web app, would on the server side send its access token over to the login provider with a request, but only from server to server. It won't be sent to web browser. Yes, sir.
I noticed you had the sample authorization screen is basically like read scope, write scope. How
Yeah.
customizable is that list? Can you do things
Good
like
question.
share email address, share other information, all those things?
Yeah, so out of the box, it's, they give you, that's a very bad example, but what they give you out of the box is not very useful, because read, write is really just, it's literally a string. Like it's just, it doesn't mean anything, it's method.
So you can add any other string you choose to have.
Yeah, and the way that Django Toolkit does it out of the box is simply in your settings file. So all your different scopes are declared in your settings file. That's difficult to manipulate after deployment. So one thing that I like to do always is actually make that a model and just look that up and make an association. You can always, when the admin or something, add the scopes.
And to follow up, can you either do different expiration times for those or force things? Going like the stock trading example,
Sure.
how would you implement something where you want to say, I want to nag you for your trading password far more frequently than just for your login thing,
I
let's
see.
see your current balance?
So again, stock out of the box, it's a settings file. So it's kind of static across the board for all of your consumers of the login service. I haven't actually attempted this, but I imagine what you could do is like again, in another, so one thing that's really nice about Django OAuth toolkit is the consumer that we're talking about. The model name is application, and there's a way to extend that model, so you can add different fields to it that you can look up exactly for things like this, like what scope should this particular website have, and what is the expiration time reach these tokens. So you can always look that up in the database. That is actually quite well done by the website. You can extend your applications.
I think we got time for one more. Someone's got one. Sam's sticking around. Sure. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Sam.